Hi, greetings. It's me, Dr. Paul Gerhardt, and today I want to talk about leadership ethics. Yeah, that's a topic that some of us like to shy away from because it's kind of an in-your-face type topic, but it really is absolutely important to understand. You see, we may see in the news and media or even in our own workplaces leaders who appear not to be so ethical, but they're getting away with things all the time. And I'm a firm believer that what goes around often comes around, and leaders really who want to be able to gain power and hold power and make a positive difference, they must be absolutely ethical all the time. And so I want to take a few minutes of your time to really consider the many dimensions of leadership ethics, talk a little bit about ethical theory and principles of ethical leadership, and talk about how it really works, because it's so absolutely vital for every level of an organization to have leaders who are acting ethically and to expect ethical actions. And so that really means that we have to understand what ethics truly is. And the word ethics comes from the Greek word ethos, which means customs, conduct, and character. And it's related to values, morals that society and individuals seem as desirable and appropriate. You know, it focuses on being virtuous, and it really takes a look at what a person's motives really are. One of the theorists, Kohlberg, says that there are three different stages of moral development. Level one, he calls pre-conventional morality. And in that it has two different stages. So, level one, stage one, obedience and punishment. Rules are fixed and handed down by authority. So, at a very simplistic approach, people see being ethical just because that's what the organization wants. Stage two, individualism and exchange. So it's about doing the right thing if it serves the individual. And so that's one perspective, and that's level one. Level two is about conventional morality, and that's about obedience and punishment. And that's where a person believes that rules are fixed and handed down by the authority. And then level two, individualism and exchange, which is an action, is right if it serves the individual. Level two, conventional morality, is all about interpersonal accord and conformity. You know, conforming to the expectations of each other. So, I know I repeated some things there. And then going into stage four of level two, maintaining social order. Moral decisions show concern for society as a whole. And level three, post-conventional morality, where stage five is a social contract and individual rights. It's about moral decisions based on what a good society should be like. And then stage six, universal principles, moral decisions based on internalized universal principles of justice that apply to everyone. So that's Kohlberg. So let's go review those stages. So at level one, which Kohlberg calls pre-conventional, it's about reasoning based on self-interest, avoiding punishment and rewards. Stage one of level one, obedience and punishment. It's I follow the rules so I don't get hurt. Stage two of level one, individualism and exchange. I'll do you a favor if you do one for me. Then level two, conventional morality. This is based on a society's view and expectations. And stage three, interpersonal according to and conformity. I try to do good and do what others expect of me. Stage four, maintaining the social order. I follow the rules and support the laws of society. And level three, post-conventional, reasoning based on conscience and creating a just society. So, stage 5 of level 3, social contract and individual rights. I work with others to do what is best for all of us. And stage 6, universal principles. I act out of internalized and universal principle of justice. So, something to think about. Look up Kohlberg's stages of moral development to get more information on that. So, really, ethical theory is about really taking a look at systems, rules, and principles, about making decisions about what is right and wrong, good and bad in any given situation. I mean, ethics really have to be defined for every organization, and they're very different for many organizations at different levels. And then culturally, some things that are ethical in one culture and expected aren't ethical in another. And so there's a whole another thing to consider. So very often people need to really think about what is doing the right thing and being a decent human being in the eyes of others around them. And so there really are essentially 3 different theories based on self-interest versus others. And those are ethical egoism, which has a high concern for self-interest and a low concern for interest of others. Utilitarianism, which has a medium concern for self-interest and a medium concern for interest of others. And then there's altruism, and that's a word we hear all the time, and that really is about having a high concern for others, and a low concern for self-interest. So just some terms to think about: ethical egoism, utilitarianism, and altruism. So some of the ethical theories related to egoism is really about looking at creating the greatest good for that leader. A leader takes a political stand on an issue for no other reason except to get elected. We've never seen that before, right? Or a utilitarian perspective, create the greatest good for the greatest number. The leader distributes scarce resources so to maximize the benefit of everyone, while hurting just the fewest amount of people, like preventative health care or something related to a catastrophe. So that's utilitarianism. Some people are getting hurt, but the fewest number are getting hurt there. And then there's altruism. Mother Teresa was a great example. It's authentic transformational leadership, based on helping, others first. So it's really important. So in a deontological theory, people are duty driven. It not only for consequences, but doing things for others. Focusing obligations and responsibilities to do the right thing. Like telling the truth and keeping promises and being fair. Character is another consideration, in the ethical literature, and it really is about having a focus on your own character. It's taking a look at people as people. Rather than telling people what to do, tell people what to be. Help people become more virtuous through training and development. Examples of virtues are courage, honesty, fairness, justice, integrity, and humility. So being an ethical leader, we have to really consider power and control. It's about responsibility. It really is about respecting other people and being evaluate self-interest and needs from needs of others and organizations. So a lot to consider. Ethics are so important because it really helps establish and reinforce organizational values. And that creates a healthy climate for an organization to continue to change. People feel safer when they know what's expected and people are acting in an ethical way. Professor Heifetz, took a look about how leaders confront people who have conflicting values in order to make change become more effective. And in that, you have to really consider the values of the workers versus the values of the organization and the communities in which they work. It's hard to say some people are right and some people are wrong, and so you have to weigh those things out in order to do the right thing. It's being able to move people to take change really means helping people to focus on the issues, act in a way that helps frame the issues and manage perspectives, and then make good decisions. So leaders very often can struggle with change and personal growth when there's conflict about what is right and what is wrong. Burns in the late 70s talked about being a transformational leader, and in there it really was about liberty, justice, equality, really taking a look at having leaders who have high levels of morality, and really understanding the needs and values and morals of followers. On the other hand, Lippmann and Blumen talk about pseudo-transformational leadership. These are dark leaders who have destructive behaviors, and they violate humans' rights, for instance, and they lack integrity, and they're arrogant, and they're self-centered. And so ultimately there are those leaders who may get elected into positions and then do the wrong thing. So those kind of people are important. Take a look at the toxic triangle. You have destructive leaders who are often charismatic. They have personalized power. They're narcissistic. They have negative lives and kind of an ideology of hate. Consider leaders that you've seen. On the other side, you have susceptible followers. These are people who are conformers. They have unmet needs and low core self-evaluations and low maturity. And then there are the colluders, who are ambitious and have similar worldviews but bad values. The third dimension of this toxic triangle is conducive environments. These are environments that are unstable, they perceive threat, they have poor cultural values, and they lack checks and balances that help them become effective. And each of these three considerations need to be looked at in any type of organization. If you've got any of these in place, leaders will be less, or organizations are weaker. Destructive leaders who are often seen as charismatic and narcissistic and self-absorbed, susceptible followers, these are conformers and colluders, and then conducive environments make it easier for these dark leaders to maintain power. So really, if you want to be an effective leader, you must be an ethical leader in the longer run. You've got to consider first respecting others. That means really listening to others. Be empathetic, understand where people are coming from, and then be tolerant of opposing perspectives. This is about treating people's values and decisions with respect. Second principle of ethical leadership, serving others. These are the leaders who are mentoring others, empowering behaviors. They're building team behaviors and citizenship. These leaders have a duty to help others pursue their goals and interests. These serving leaders clarify, nurture, and they help integrate vision for the benefit of organizational members. Justice is another one. It's about making sure that people are treated in an equal and fair way, and how people perceive to be treated really does affect what they do. So that's the deal with leadership, is we as leaders affect the environment that we're in. We want to make sure that we are honest all the time and authentic, and so manifesting honesty is an important principle of ethical leader. You know, you've got to make sure that if you're not breaking promises, you're delivering what you say you're going to be delivering. You're not suppressing obligations or evading accountability. You know, it's you're creating an environment where people want to give their best because they feel safe, and you're aware of the feelings and attitudes of others. The final dimension, the principle of ethical leadership, is you build community. You want to take into account what people expect, and you want to help people be able to clarify their goals and help them relate it to how it benefits the organization itself. So you've often probably heard of ethical leadership as doing the right thing for the right reasons. Well, it really is a perspective of what are those right reasons. Put it in context. Is it for yourself? Is it to avoid getting in trouble? Or is it for the benefit of the organization? As leaders, we affect the success of our organization at every single level. We have the power to influence other people if we are very clear on expectations and we're in alignment with the values of our stakeholders and organization. We're going to have a lot better success. If we are acting unethically, we're probably a little bit weaker in our power, and it probably will come back and get us in the longer run. So really being very clear on what's expected of other people, what they expect of you as a leader, understand their needs, and making sure that you're help serving them for the benefit of the organization as a whole, and being able to take a look at which stage of moral development your people are at, and help it be able to create a climate and culture that is healthy, that maximizes productivity. So anyway, that's my thoughts on ethical leadership. I know that I've given you a lot of information, and I truly appreciate your time. Thanks so much for being here. I hope you have a great day, because only you get to choose how you feel about it. I'm Dr.